This is a quick video and step-by-step guide on how to choose and tie a set of caver's cowstails. So I've just come in off a caving trip and I'm cleaning my equipment, and at the same time I'm maintaining my equipment. And what I've noticed is my cowstails are now pretty worn out and pretty tired. This was a particularly hard caving trip, so let's talk about cowstails. First thing to say is they're the most important piece of equipment on your harness when it comes to working at height, because they're the only piece of equipment that is designed to take a fall. So they need to be in pretty good order. So if you come in closer, you'll see what the problem is with my cowstails right now. So if you look at my knot just here, you can see that the sheath of the rope has been abraded fully away, as now exposing the core of the rope. This basically means the rope is now defunct and needs replacing. So now we need to choose material that is suitable to make cowstails out of. Slings, be they nylon or Dyneema, are not suitable. They're extremely strong, but because they don't stretch or elongate, if we fall off on them, they're going to shock load our body and injure us, so we don't use slings. We also do not use caving rope, or static rope as it's sometimes known, or low stretch rope. Again, it's low stretch, so if we fall off, it's going to impact onto our body and shock load us. So that's no good. What we should be using is full climbing rope. It is dynamic, so if you fall off, it is both strong enough to take your shock and your weight, but it is also stretchy enough to slow you down gradually so that you're not going to have that impact on your body. So we're looking for full climbing rope. You'll find a lot of people will be using snap gate carabiners. In other words, carabiners with no mechanism to actually screw the gate of the carabiner shut permanently. And then these are not suitable, because if we fall off, what can happen is somehow the gate can be shock loaded open, vibrated open, or even banged open and twisted open, and the carabiner can disengage. I see no point in having a snap gate carabiner. It's just not worth the risk. What we should be looking for on our cowstails are screw gate carabiners that we can screw shut and they won't open. This is a perfectly suitable carabiner for the job. Some sneaky tips though to make your life easier as a caver would be choose carabiners that don't have notches in the nose of the carabiner. Those notches you'll find often get caught in little knots on the rope, making your life a little bit more difficult to retrieve your cowstail when you're doing single rope technique. So here's what I'm using. I'm using a carabiner with no notch on, and instead the gate shuts like so, screws up and can't be opened. So the knot I'm going to use on both of my cowstails is called the barrel knot, and the first cowstail I'm going to tie first is my short cowstail. Here's how to tie a barrel knot. Make a bight of rope, pinch the bight together, hold the end, and wind the rope back towards the bight so you have a few loops, and tuck the end through your loops. This creates a barrel knot. What we're looking to do now is tighten the barrel knot up, which will trap the carabiner in place. That's the knot tied. What I now need to do is to actually tighten the knot up so it won't come undone whilst I'm caving. Take my barrel knot, which has been tied onto my short cowstail, clip it into the anchor, and now all I'm going to do is tighten the knot up by putting my body weight on it using the ascender. Clip the rope in to the main line, put my rope for my foot loop on my foot, stand on it and tighten the knot up, and work the knot up with my fingers. Disengage the ascender off the main line of the rope, and do exactly the same on the tail of the rope, so both sides of the knot are equally tightened. As you do it, push the knot up. You don't need to bounce up and down, you just need to put body weight on it so the rope is now snugged up and tight. So when I look at that now, I can see the knot is tight, the carabiner is in the correct position, and importantly the tail on the knot is at least 10 times the diameter of the rope. This is a good, healthy length of rope. What we don't want is the tail being withdrawn into the knot in a shock load situation. The great thing about a barrel knot is it always holds your carabiner in the right position, so it never allows the carabiner to be sideways loaded. It's always going to allow it to be loaded on a long way, down the spine. So a re-threaded figure of 8 knot is exactly what it says it is. This is a figure of 8 knot, and all I'm going to do is re-thread it. So the rope has passed through the harness, and I'm going to take the end, pass it back through the knot. So where it comes out of the knot, the tail goes back in. Goes over here, goes back through here, round here, and finally back through there. What I'm left with is a neat, tidy figure of 8 knot. A lot of cavers don't appreciate how critical it is to have the right length of cowstail for the right size of person. It's pretty simple. You take your short cowstail and you hold it up tight to your body, and your cowstail short one should be between your throat and your chin. As you can see on mine, it is slightly short, but I've tied it deliberately short because I know the knots are going to kinch up and tighten up the moment I put my weight on them. So I tie it slightly short, clip it back into my anchor, weight it, the knots kinch up, hey presto, the cowstail is now fitted perfectly to me and all the knots are nice and tight. So now I need to size my long cowstail for the right length. It's pretty simple. Grab the rope with your hand, pull it up so your arm is about 90 degrees. Hold the tail, pull back about an inch or so because we need to think about rope stretch. This is the point when I'm now going to re-tie or re-thread my barrel knot as I did earlier. So I've measured my long cow's tail and I've kept my fingers at the point at which I need my knot tying at this bite. So now I need to wrap the tail of the rope back around both strands and back up to the bite. Poke the end through, at least 2 loops, so creating a barrel knot. Take the tail, pull it tight so it pinches up. Now take your carabiner and clip it through the loop at your barrel knot. Pull the tail again. Now pull the main line of the rope so the knot cinches up towards the carabiner and holds it in position. I've now tied myself a neat, tidy barrel knot with a tail long enough, and all that needs to be done now is to take the tail and to take the main line and tighten those up with my body weight, so making sure the knot is cinched up neat and tidy. So as I said earlier, we need to make sure our long cowstail is not too long. The ideal length when we're holding the carabiner is our arm is at 90 degrees. You can see that my arm is not quite 90 degrees. That's because I need to cinch up all the knots by hanging on them. So I've tied it slightly short, clip it to my anchor point, sit down, and you can see it all stretching out. Now when I hold the carabiner, it's at 90 degrees. So all I need to do now is one half of the knot is tight. I need to tighten up the tail by using the foot loop system that I used earlier before. Clip the foot loop system on, put my foot in the foot loop, weight it, and push the knot up. That is now set cowstail. So should I put it apart, hold up, you can see that my long cowstail is exactly 90 degrees and I've got an excessively long tail. That's not a problem. I can chop that and seal the end with heat, and I've got a short cowstail that comes up to the bottom of my neck. There you go folks, Cavers cowstails, brand new, set up, smooth nose carabiners that don't get caught.